and that's a 12mm socket that you need to do. Okay, just to hold the drum down, we have a 12mm nut which goes in here, and remember that nothing stops that from coming out, so you got to keep your finger on that while you're doing this little job. This washer has this, like a thick washer, has flats on it, and the flats go in under these slots just here. So you put the flats over the flats on the shaft, right, and then push down, and you can see it's seated now. You now put your 12mm nut over there and tighten it up firmly. It doesn't have to be mega tight, it just to be firm. And that's a 12mm socket that you need to do. Okay, so now that that's all done, the next step in the reassembly is to put the slider back, and we can do that fairly easily. This is going to be an oiled part, the slider, so each section needs to be oiled before it goes on. That's nice and oiled. Looking at the Mitchell's diagrams, it seems that the white piece of the slider goes with the pin towards the end there, so there you go, and that hole there, this is where you put the pin, in theory. There you go, there it goes. It's a nice close fit, so it should stay where it is. So that, when you turn that, that should go up and down. It shouldn't be a problem. There you go. That's the real working in front of you. Very nice. Okay, now that we've at this stage, there's no reason why the plate can't go back on. There's nothing else in there we're going to work on. So, okay, the bail arm assembly comes apart like so. There's a very hard bit of metal, which I think is a tungsten sleeve, or it used to be anyway. And there's a brass sleeve there, and there's a screw which goes into this part here. It's all pretty easy to put together. Well, that's what it looks like when it's dismantled. You got all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Okay, reassembling the bail arm. Essentially put the screw through there. There's a brass sleeve which goes over it, and then there's I think it's a tungsten sleeve. The original part Mitchell made these out of with tungsten, I believe. Okay, so it's worth taking trouble not to cross thread this. So this is kind of what I'm trying to do right now, is to just make sure it stays. One of the techniques for doing that is to just back off until you feel the threads click down, and then go forwards. And there's a certain amount of Loctite attached on these, because obviously you don't want it coming loose. So that's your bail arm, and that can be tightened further once the bail arm's in place and you know where it's supposed to sit. Okay, so to reattach the bail arm, you got a spring here. You can see there's a lug on the bottom spring there which sticks out sideways, and there's another lug on the spring which sticks out upwards. So the sideways one goes into that little slot there. You can just see it. That piece that's sticking up there needs to go into the hole that's just adjacent to it there. You can actually feel the mechanism starting to work already. So now you've got to get the screw in. Okay, so that's the bail arm in. So the next thing to do is to put a screw on the other side. That rests in there, and given this is a plastic drum, it is a self tapper, so there are no threads on it, and it should click over like that, and when you rotate it around it should flip. And we do need a replacement stop for this, but I'm not going to show you that in this video. And then your spool goes in here, as you probably know if you've used the reel, and then your drag adjuster just goes down. Okay, here's a quick video of what we did with the bail arm stop. This area here, that's the bail arm stop screw, and this is where the bail arm stop sits. Now they tend to be made of plastic. They disintegrate over a period of time because the plastic gets old, and even if you buy a replacement, it's usually old plastic, so it's not really worth buying the replacements, in my opinion. This is where the bail arm rest sits when the reel is clicked over. So what we've done is we've actually built a part for this particular area, and we've took a cardboard template and cut a flat piece of brass, which is here, and we've silver soldered a brass tube for the screw hole, and silver soldered a brass tube for the stop itself, which is this piece here, and then we filled that area there with artist's clear epoxy, as it happens. The epoxy is good enough. It's in addition to that, if it wears away, you can gently sand it and just put another layer on. So it's, you know, it's easy to keep it maintained if you want to keep the reel maintained. And I do have a template for this if anyone wants to try and make one themselves. Okay, so that fits just here, like so. And we'll just put the screw down on this, and it should be fairly easy to do. And we'll show you installed, and then I'll just show you a quick clip of it actually on the reel itself. These reels, unfortunately, are a little bit notorious for this particular issue. So if you know a local silversmith or a local blacksmith who can make this kind of part for you, essentially what you do is you take a cardboard template from this area, avoid that obviously, and then these are just bits of brass tube. There's nothing going on there really. It's just a bit of brass tube to take the post screw, because it's a post screw, and you could probably get a flat a metric screw to fit in there, if you're honest, but you need to find out what thread it was and then cut it down a bit, and it just sits. It's not glued on or anything, it just sits on there. And then this is just a piece of brass tube, and it's been filled with epoxy. Okay, so this is your bail arm stop installed, and that's the way it goes. The original bail arm stop, I believe, was slightly adjustable. This is not. You probably could make it adjustable if you designed it correctly. Okay, so there it is, completely installed. And I guess if you wind the reel, it snaps over, and you see how it works and sits level. Okay, so one last thing in the reassembly is to put back your handle. You can actually take this off, but it's not really necessary unless there's a lot of wear on it. It does need a bit of oil though, every now and again, and natural to go that way because you'd think it was a right hand thread, but actually the handles are a left hand thread. You hold the drum, stop it turning, and wait for the thread to grind on. You don't want to cross thread the handle really, that's not a good idea. Right, so that's your handle up. And this is what we call a right-handed reel, because you wind with your left hand and you hold your rod with your right hand. And the reel goes back and forth on one setting, and then on the other setting it locks, which is what that mechanism is for. To go backwards in that setting relies on the drag of the fish to pull it. So that is your Mitchell 206 completely reassembled. And well, this is Avian Fish signing off now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for more videos, we will be doing some more.